usually view the collapse of a civilization as a generational process, a slow grind of famine, decades of border wars, or the creeping rot of an economy over centuries. This slow decay creates a massive physical legacy, like the ruins of the Roman Forum. These stones stand for centuries, reinforcing the delusion that our monuments are permanent. The Great Pyramid of Giza anchors the same idea. We look at these immovable footprints and assume that a massive society always leaves behind a permanent record of its existence. However, shadow theory highlights a darker reality: archaeological sites where the gears of a superpower ground to a halt in less than 48 hours. These were civilizations larger than Rome that didn't decay, they evaporated. The existence of these sudden voids suggests that a massive physical footprint is no guarantee of civilizational permanence. Neighboring scouts who entered these territories weeks later found a world frozen in mid-motion, tools dropped mid-workday, meals left uneaten on tables, thousands untouched in their homes, showing no signs of warfare. These empires housed millions of citizens behind fortress walls designed to defy the gods. Yet those defenses were rendered irrelevant in a single weekend. To the outside world, this wasn't a military tragedy. It was a ghost story written in real time. Understanding how a sprawling society stops overnight requires us to examine the exact mechanism of its erasure, a mechanism that is currently powering our own world. Scientists analyze a civilization as a living, breathing biological organism rather than a collection of static buildings. In a hyper-optimized empire, every sector is terrifyingly interdependent. The population setter relies on an unyielding influx of grain. The grain relies on a bureaucratic distribution network, and that network relies on absolute military enforcement. A highly localized, hyper-violent shock, such as a subterranean pocket of toxic gas venting into the capital or a fast-acting pathogen hitting the water supply, causes the core node to collapse instantly. This creates a cascading critical failure. In a perfectly optimized network, the failure of a single essential node forces the entire system to violently snap. At hour 12, the breaking supply chains paralyze the populace. By hour 24, mass panic turns the city's infrastructure into a meat grinder for its citizens. By hour 48, the systemic collapse is total. The machine simply stops. True systemic collapse functions like a machine destroying itself at peak efficiency. This physical destruction triggers an even more catastrophic failure within the human psyche. When a catastrophe occurs too fast for the brain to process, it triggers hyperstress paralysis, a state where firing neural pathways rapidly extinguish, overriding the survival instinct. The shared illusions we call civilization, laws, currency, and social order, they simply shatter instantly. Faced with a collapse of this speed, the human mind surrenders. This explains the grim scenes gowned by later explorers. Millions of people who chose a quiet, collective oblivion over a futile struggle, sitting in their homes as the world ended around them. At this accelerated speed, the mind surrenders to the dark before the body even dies. Our modern world faces a central paradox. The more technologically advanced we become, the faster we can vanish. We're protected by information displacement. It's why a sudden disappearance goes unnoticed. A global algorithm treats the loss of a superpower as a server glitch.
It doesn't panic. It reroutes traffic and fills the vacuum with new narratives, ignoring the silence. The ultimate danger of our connectivity is this ability to route around a dead zone, mutating to survive without the vanished giant. We currently balance on a razor's edge, relying on a single, fragile macro system to govern our electricity, our AI, and our global food supply. Unlike the empires of the past, our modern collapse will leave behind no stone pyramids or marble pillars to mark our time here. A critical failure today leaves only silent, dark silicon and empty glass towers reaching toward an indifferent cosmos. We must consider how certain we are that the world we woke up in this morning isn't already beginning to vanish. A 48-hour critical failure deletes us from history itself, leaving a blank slate for whatever comes next to look at our ruins and wonder if anyone was ever here at all.